Morning, Pee-wee. Then you're crazy.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're a nerd.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're an idiot.
It's Enrico Palazzo!
Hi, Doc. Remember? You're gonna lose.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel bonus episode. Whew. Super excited for this week's interview. It is with one of my favorite character actors. He's been in so many things in my life that I grew up loving, whether it's Leprechaun, Teen Wolf, Teen Wolf 2, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, of course, Seinfeld, A League of Their Own, Naked Gun. Man, I was so happy when I connected with Mark a while back and we finally got everything lined up. We chatted. Man, it's so much fun. I love hearing about his journey from Oklahoma to Hollywood, and really, it almost accidentally happened. He needed to get his grade up, and you'll hear what he was able to do, something that he's never really done before, but he fell in love with the craft of acting. And then how when he went to Hollywood, he just happened to know the right person, and he nailed his auditions, and wow. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Teen Wolf, just movies that I watched so many times as a kid. And I think that's why it was so special to finally talk to Mark and learn about his career. And one thing I have to mention before I forget, because this is coming out on August 24th, and next weekend, Mark is going to be in New Jersey. And I'm sure most of our listeners are from New Jersey, whether you're my grandma, my grandma's neighbor, my grandma's drug dealer, and no matter who it is, it's probably somebody that's related to me. Half kidding. But if you're in New Jersey or the tri-state area, so next weekend, Labor Day weekend, Mark is going to be in Parsippany, New Jersey at the Hilton for Lead Fest, Lead East. It's the 40th anniversary. It's the world's greatest oldies party. There's music all weekend, lots of cool cars. I'm going to take my daughter. There's a Scooby-Doo car, the Batmobile, so many, so it should be really cool. And Mark's going to be there. And from what I'm reading on the website, so I talked to Mark a few weeks back, they're going to be showing Pee-wee's Big Adventure Saturday and Sunday at noon. And afterwards, you can go meet with Mark and get an autograph, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, Mark's great. You're going to love his story. Just his career. He's such a humble guy. And these roles that he in are huge. Like, really, like, nobody forgets Chubby from Teen Wolf, Enrico Palazzo. It's so funny hearing him talk about when he got noticed, like the one that he remembers most was for something he did a half a day on, and it's really one line, and that's what people shouted to him. But love talking to Mark, love hearing about his journey, and yeah, I'm giddy. I can't wait for you to hear it, because I think you'll be able to, the excitement in my voice throughout, I had to like tone it down a little bit, because I didn't want to scare Mark off. And I did ask Mark the question that everyone asked about Teen Wolf, and then afterwards I promised I will never ask anyone involved with Teen Wolf again. Do me a favor, if you haven't been here before, welcome. If you're back, you smell great. I love your new perfume or cologne or both, maybe a little mixture. Please subscribe wherever you're listening. Share, like us on all social media at Sequels Only, and then also on YouTube. Go on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, probably right after this, or maybe while you're listening to this, subscribe to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. It really helps us out, and then we can get some ad revenue, more money, maybe I'll get Jamie like a diamond necklace that says like sequels, maybe something like that. But yeah, so we'd really appreciate it if you did that. And without further ado, here is actor Mark Holton. This is I'm very excited to talk with you. Like when we started this like 4.5 years ago, I know it's like it's like the Meatloaf song, right? In Meatloaf, he says, "I bet you say that to all the boys," in one of the songs. I'm being totally honest, like you're one of those people that I think it's just the movies that you're in are such a touchstone in my childhood based on my age. I was born in 86. So like, even though Pee-wee came out before then and Teen Wolf came out right around that time, and Teen Wolf 2 and Leprechaun, those are all movies that I watched on cable so much as a kid. So this is definitely an honor. But one thing I didn't know about you, obviously I could look at IMDb all day long. It's really like, how did it all begin? So you grew up in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, I did. I grew up in a little town south of Tulsa that I'm in right now, and I I moved here when I was like 3.5. So most of my memories are here. Graduated from high school, went to university in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, on a little
Okay.
scholarship, and then hit the road and did a little non-union dinner theater and a little outdoor drama, and I decided I either had to go east or west. So I went west.
Where did it stem as a child? Like, what was it that got you? How'd you catch the acting bug?
It was my freshman year in high school. I was trying to get a grade up from nowhere, and one of the ways to get extra points, well, the only way to get extra points at this stage was to enter an intramural public speaking contest. And I did it in character as pretty much as George C. Scott playing Patton. And it was just laced with profanities, and somehow it squeaked by because it was an historical movie. And I somehow managed not to be lashed with the buckle on the Bible belt. I was not sent home. My parents were not called. It was maybe the first divine intervention in my on my road to my
it's so
calling.
funny how many people have those stories that I interview that it's almost like an accidental start to the business. Like Robert Hayes, he moved in between like semesters in college. His dad was in the military, and when he moved, like he went to go enroll, and it was like a day before classes were starting, so there was like nothing that he wanted, so he had to take acting, and then the rest is history. And there's so many people like that story, right? It's wild.
Well, that happens to actors too. We ended up in classes we don't want to be in too, like journalism.
Who needs to write?
Not in a small town, not in a small town college in Oklahoma in the 70s. So you don't want to have to sit through your journalism class.
So what were some of the places you did like the non-union dinner theater, like in Oklahoma, or was it like a traveling company you're in?
It was a small company that was based out of Nashville that did Johnson City, Kingsport area, Evansville, Indiana, Memphis, and Tulsa was on the circuit, and they stopped it, of course, right when they hired me, and then Nashville. So we would do that tour and play a week or two at every location. And then we'd go into rehearsal for another play. And that was a very strange existence.
So how did that next leap happen from non-union dinner theater to, like, it looks like your first credit was Webster. Did someone notice you, an agent, or did you just head out west on your own?
I knew I had to make a decision whether or not I was going to go the route of seeking Broadway or getting in the film business. And I had been to New York, and I knew this was not going to be a good fit for me psychologically, coming from a town of about 12,000 people and a university town, not much bigger. And I thought, you know what? I just, I'm thinking about the days walking through Manhattan in a white shirt with ash falling on me, and the smells and all the people and the attitudes. And I thought, well, why would I do that? Because it would be like an I'd have to get rid of a car because I couldn't even afford to park. So I thought, no, it would be better to rub bumpers than elbows. So I just had never been to the West Coast, and had a friend of a college friend that said, yeah, have him come stay with us. Cool. We'll tell him where are the safe areas and where areas not to look or even go.
That's helpful.
And it just so happened that he was married to a assistant casting agent at Paramount. So at some point, after I had moved out or whatever, I wasn't there just a couple of weeks, not long enough to become a pest until I found an apartment. But she had to read with all these people, And so that's people all day long. The same scene over and over and over until you have gone through every one of the candidates for that character. So she said, "You want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah." On the Paramount lot, read against these people, and I'm reading against people or with people that I was like, "I know who that is. I know who that is. Oh, I better be good." So I had that luxury, and then she got attached to casting Webster, and she had me in on that, and that was for the cast, not just incidental characters, and I got to read with all those people. A lot of people you may not know their names, but you see them and you go, "Oh God, yeah, I know who that guy was in blah 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 blah." So I got to read with all these people, and I guess I held my own with everybody, and they liked me and thought I was funny. And at the end of the run, they said, "Well, Mark, you need your SAG card, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Okay, we're gonna write you into the last episode of the season." Wow, No, and then it just it's just been that way all my life. Somebody's looking over my shoulder, taking care of me. Even in the rotten times or whatever. But it's hard not to feel that it was my calling. When you put everything together, and I still feel that way. I feel like acting is my calling, and I just need to figure out where I need to go next because. I'm following the boss up there now a lot more than I used to. So he'll get me where I need to be. Get me where he wants me. That's all I care.
So Webster, you got your SAG card. That's so cool that people were looking out for you, and obviously people liked you enough or what you were doing while on set. So from there, what came first? Was it Teen Wolf? Was it Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Stooge Mania? Because they all came out in '85.
It's chicken and the egg time here, because you shoot something and you forget about it and you go on to another project, and by the time it has been edited and scored and everything comes out, you have a lapse between it was shot in '84 and it actually in the books it says it's a 1985 film. So they were those two anyway were pretty close together. As far as when I shot them, and they just happened to come out together, which was no accident, because Michael J. Fox was in.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was thinking. That was first, because I remember they held that for a little bit because they saw the success with Michael and that. But I don't know. But that's a big year for you. Those are two huge movies.
Yeah, they stayed huge movies through your childhood and a lot of other people's childhood. I mean, I can't even estimate anymore. Some families, it's like 4 generations deep. Of just grandparent to parent, parent to child, child to child, and.
And it's funny that those movies that you were in with those, especially Teen Wolf 2, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, that's like the big Paul Rubens, obviously. That's the one that I know he was in Cheech and Chong before that, but that was like the burst of his character, Pee-wee on the scene, and then Michael J. Fox, Teen Wolf, and then you got Jason Bateman for Teen Wolf 2. Do you remember, obviously at that point, that's huge, those movies for you in '85? That's a big jump from just being on Webster to pretty important roles.
Yeah, but I had no idea how they were going to turn out when I was shooting them. I had no idea. There were just too many things in their infancy, and I couldn't see the future. Because then you either went to the movies to see it, you rented it, or you bought it. No cable yet.
No.
Not broadly through, and it seems like a galaxy far, far away. And you can't look into the future. So I didn't know. I didn't know till decades later exactly how synchronicity had played out in my career, in my life, and then shooting into the '90s and the 2000s or whatever,
Yeah.
Leprechaun and Gacy, and it just and A League of Their Own. And I just kept finding things that came out at the right time. Even just some of the little bitty things that I did, like Naked Gun with hey, it's Enrico Palazzo.
I know, yeah.
I just I showed up. I spent a half a day. I was in with the crowds, and that was it. And I left and got my line in, but and forgot about the movie. I don't think I even was far enough up on the food chain yet to where they invited me. I don't remember going to a premiere. So I didn't even know the movie had come out. And I guess it had premiered in a few days, whenever it came out in the LA area. And I'm walking down either Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard. And this guy pulls over, rolls down the window on the passenger side and goes, "Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo. Hey, you were fan, brother." And I'm going, "What the hell just happened?" Oh yeah, okay, cool. It's just amazing that that's just become part of the English language, I guess.
Yeah, I bet that happened a lot. But when Pee-wee came out, I'm sure you got recognized and people called you Francis. No. Yeah.
It was hit and miss. I kind of I didn't dress to impress. Let's say
Yeah.
I probably had an ironed shirt from Walmart, and
no monogram pajamas. You weren't wearing your monogram pajamas around.
No. If I didn't have an audition that day, there was no reason to shave. So, unless I was doing clerical work, which was a lot of fun. Not, but it was just weird, and I look back and I'm going, my God, people say, how do I do it? How do I get into the business? How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm going, look at the technology you had. Look at the technology you have in your hand. You got a phone in your hand. You have a supercomputer. You have all these apps. You don't have to be in a bed bug infested dump somewhere in Hollywood, beating on doors and slipping around in hobo shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore. If they want to talk to you, you can find them. You can find them through the internet, and they can find you. So it's changed the game completely from, just to tell you how much it's changed. I didn't have an answering machine when I moved to LA.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And I know that this for a fact, that Mike Fox, when he first got to LA, he didn't have one either. And he got an agent somehow. I think he had an agent before he moved down here because he had some creds in Canada. And there was a Pioneer Chicken on the corner with a phone booth. And that was the number he gave to his agent. So he would go there in the morning and just sit there, and count his pennies out and get another cup of coffee or a Coke and wait for that phone to ring.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Michael J. Fox, he never paid his dues. Bullshit.
But you're right about those two projects when you think about Teen Wolf, because I think that was shot pretty quick, and there was some, I don't know what, but that, and then Pee-wee, because that was Tim Burton's first feature. I talked to David L. Snyder, who did the art. He was the art director on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So I think it was like one of those, like, hey, we don't know how this is gonna be.
Oh no, nobody knew. I hadn't seen Paul's HBO special. I didn't know how brilliant he was. I had seen him on Letterman. That was it. And I'm going, wow, this character is off the hook. You know? And that was pretty much all I knew. I didn't even know Frank and Weenie existed, so I didn't know who the hell Tim Burton was. So it was just, I had no idea. I'm going in doing my job, and as we're shooting, it finally dawned on me what these guys were doing, and what I started seeing the sets, and the rewrites or whatever, and it was like, this is going to be. I don't know how big it'll be. There's some funny shit going on.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, the Alamo, the interactions with you and him. I know you are, but what am I? Like, no, it's just such a memorable movie, and your character, your interaction with him, and even Teen Wolf, like just Chubby, your character. My favorite part is that end scene, and you hit the shot. What he says, great. Doesn't he say, the guy from the Dragon says, go ahead, shoot it, fat boy, or something? And you hit the shot. And then I think that's what cues the music. Not Win in the End. Is it Win in the End? Or Shoot for the Moon? One of those ending songs from that movie. It starts the song right there. You hear the dun, 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 come in. I love that end of the movie. I watch it often.
Yeah, I think Mark, the villain in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just perfect. And the shot on his face, when he's waiting for the miss or whatever, it doesn't happen, and he just stands there and closes his eyes, like in shame and defeat. Is like, yes, that's what I want to see. So I guess he has moved to England and is very happy living in England. I don't know if he's doing television or theater or whatever, but maybe one of these days I can find him in a pub in London. That'd be a nice reunion.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was cool. Troy Evans was the coach of the Dragons.
I'm sorry, say again?
Oh, actor Troy Evans he had a small part as the coach of the Dragons.
I was like, it's like as the years went going by, I'm going, my God, Troy is getting some traction. My God, Troy's everywhere.
Ace Ventura.
And then I run into him in an audition. It was like, man, you are.
Yeah, Bosch. I talked to him a few years ago, and I loved him on Bosch, and I loved him in Ace Ventura. But it's true, I didn't even remember him because he looks so different. Because he has he's kind of like the jacket on and kind of like slick back hair. But your coach, the guy who played your coach, Paul Sands, was in the sequel. The original was Paul. I forget his last name, but he was super funny.
Oh boy, here we go. See, I don't have cheat sheets. This is unfair.
I'll look it up because he's right here. But no, he's like so great.
Yeah, and a very successul producer as well.
Oh, Jay Tarsus. That's what it is.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Jay Tarsus. And he was so subtle, and all of his stuff was so zoned in. And I'm standing so far back when I'm watching him work, I'm going, I don't know if this guy's character is going to work. He's not making me laugh at 40 feet. No, he's not making me laugh at 30. And then when I saw it on film, I'm like, this guy executed this role flawlessly as far as
complaining about the reason you guys were losing was because you don't have the shoes of the other team. That was one of his excuses to the principal, but it was so good. Like James Hampton, like Susan Booth is like so great in that movie. Jerry Levine, who's a Jersey guy too. Yeah, so much, man. So many good people in that movie.
Yeah, it was a nice little combination. Right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Doug, he's a Doug too. What's his name? He went on to do some pretty big movies, but he was
from Teen Wolf.
Huh?
He was in Teen Wolf.
Yes, he's one of the Beavers.
Got it. Doug Savant. He played Brad.
Yes, thank you very much. He went on to do stuff. Some pretty.
Oh my God, he's in Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
I never realized he was in. He was on. My wife loved Desperate Housewives. He was on Desperate Housewives for the whole run of it. Wow.
Yeah. He went, and then
sometimes you don't realize in movies like who plays those little behind the scene parts.
Yeah. Well, you look at Paul Rubens' filmography, and it's stunning that even if he hadn't played Pee Wee Herman, his filmography is crazy. I mean, he wasn't just a comedic genius. He wasn't just a comedic actor. He was just a damn good actor. And I don't think he minded a bit, settling into his Pee Wee fandom, stardom, kingdom, whatever. But yeah, that's happened to a lot of people. You'll go back. There was somebody. I was watching the Chosen episodes, and I later on went to Instagram, and they're showing these horrible movie clips from horror films, really cheesy stuff.
Okay.
And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm going, "Oh my God, that's like Nicodemus, one of the like main characters." And I'm going, "Whoa, you've come a long way." And
yeah, you got to start somewhere. No, it's so funny that you watch a lot of movies, especially when like I'm looking at IMDb's when I'm getting ready to talk to somebody or we're like reviewing a movie, and you look at all these and you're like, wow, because people got to start somewhere. William Sadler told me he started as Man Who Fell Downstairs. I think that's one of his first credits in some movie in the early 80s.
I had a buddy that used to come work out at LA Connection. It was a group that did improvisational comedy, and
oh, cool.
And he would make up fake resumes just to get laughs from the casting directors that would never bring him in, and a couple of them were Jaws, the little Stebbins boy, which was never seen. He was eaten by the shark, right? And,
yeah.
It would just be ridiculous stuff, like a character, a dead character in something that you never saw. But it was a big film, Gone with the Wind, baby. Just stupid
That's
shit
funny.
like that. And I thought, well, it's worth a shot, And I had people that the one guy that made up a card with this phony list on it, they would hand out to people, and it said farewell performances only. So every time I saw him, I said, "Is this the one?" And he goes, "Well,
is this it?
Close.
Yeah.
Might have to move back and go to work in the grocery store." And
yeah, it's like bands go on their farewell tour and they're on like their 7th farewell tour.
Yeah, the farewell tour is back, bigger than ever. The biggest farewell you'll ever see with rocket firing guitars.
So yes, we talked a little bit about Teen Wolf 2, but I talked to Stuart, and I know you guys did that reunion like last year, I think it was. You guys all connected for the first time in a while. You, Stuart, and what's her name, the main girl? It wasn't Kim Darby, obviously. Who was it?
I wasn't invited to that, or I didn't attend. I didn't go to.
Oh, okay.
Reunion, so.
Estee Chandler. That's what I was talking about.
Now the first one with Levine as in that playing that character, whatever. Now there was one, and it was hosted by Boof and her husband.
Oh, that's cool. Styles, yeah.
And they had a nice a little 2-way camera set up in a room where we could go in and talk to Mikey because he couldn't be there. Which was understandable, definitely at the time. But no, I missed that one with we're on to Teen Wolf 2 now. I think the actor that replaced Styles, it had to be him. But he wasn't playing Styles. He was playing Styles' cousin, and it worked for me. For a lot of people, but I think a lot of people were under the false impression that he was supposed to be Styles. No, he was a different character, which I think pissed him off to no end. But he was so much fun to work with, such a funny guy, and he had a really nice career after that.
And he told me that he was disappointed when he saw the final cut because there was a lot of scenes that you guys shot
Yeah.
with Jason, like that were, because when you watch the movie, he's like, isn't it kind of confusing when you watch it? And when he mentioned it, it made sense to me. It goes from him saying, I don't want to really be the wolf, and then he's full wolf. So there was like that in between. He said there was a bunch of scenes of you guys, like, I don't know if it was at a mall or like these different sequences that you guys shot that just never made it into the movie.
Well, I try not to bring up things like that unless, there was, but I understand his frustration. And there's nothing we can do about it now. So onward and upward.
Yeah, no, I know. There's a lot of things when it comes to like movies that like editor's cut, director's cut, even like Kim Darby's character being a wolf. That was like, that's such a wild thing to have that in the last scene, but it was cool. Like John Astin was so great to have in the movie, but the whole scene, you're like, she's a wolf this whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty bizarre. Being a child of the 70s or whatever, that's I graduated in 1976, so I think it was state law that you had to watch True Grit at least 3 times a year, or they put you in prison. And faithfully, so when I found out that I'd be working with her, I'm going, wow, this is a big deal for me, because she was part of a movie that was just something that was in my favorites, so that was pretty neat. And then John Astin, and I'm going, oh my God, well, from television, and the movies he appeared in, so it was really kind of just a real treat just to be hanging out with those people and going to get a coffee and a cookie and talking to people. And, nobody had, a stock up their ass or anything like that. Everybody was very nice to one another. Everybody got along. And it was just a nice little chemistry. And I got away with murder. Christopher Leach just said, whatever, just, be silly. And so I was ridiculously silly. And, there were a lot of face palms when it came out. And I'm like, oh boy, did I really, but what the hell? It's Teen Wolf, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. They turned a movie that was like a team sport, and they chose the boxing aspect of it. And I don't know if they would allow one boxer to fight anyone, like every person on the other team, but it's a movie, it's silly.
Yeah. So that actually helped my image as a sports professional, because I have been paid, so I'm a professional, to box, to fence, to play basketball, and to hang around at baseball fields. So got them all covered. Still waiting on the
hockey movie.
Yeah, it's out there. I know it. I can smell it.
Maybe they'll do another season of that Mighty Ducks reboot they did with Emilio. Maybe they'll do that, and they can bring you in for it, so you can cover all your bases, so to speak.
Well, maybe I should just be happy with what I have and shut up.
Mark, did you always make a point to see yourself in the movie? Like, would you go to the theater, like for like Pee-wee or Teen Wolf when it came out in the theater? Did you like say, I got to go see this to like watch yourself?
If it was, like a screening for the casting crew, sure, I felt obligated to do that. But trying to think, well, that was pretty much the only way to check on the job you did.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But I can't give you a specific example of like walking out going, I can't believe this.
No. I always ask people, because it's like, do you sit in the back of the theater with like the trench coat and the hat on, and you're like viewing yourself? Because I talked to some directors, and they would do that the first night. They would go sit in the back and then try. Not like you're gonna know. I know the guy that directed this by his look. It's not like there was IMDb back then, but they would watch, and then that's how they would get a feel of, hey, I did a good job or not a good job. If they're laughing at the parts I wanted them to laugh at, maybe like do the fist pump at the parts that I wanted that to evoke that emotion. But And the other side, it's got to be sometimes hard to watch yourself afterwards.
Well,
You know,
that was kind of nice because the people that I had worked for in a lot of the cases, they would call me and say, "Dude, we did a screening last night," and they would go through the film, bit by going, "This, this is working on the audiences." So I was already, pumped when I saw it. But yeah, I would hide near the back, nonchalantly, not a trench coat, but I would make sure that when the film was over, I was out of there real quick.
Yeah.
Across the lobby,
Yeah. I know you worked obviously at a bunch of different studios over the years, but one that always sticks out because I grew up watching a lot of the Cannon films. You're in Undercover, which is a Cannon movie.
Yeah.
What was it working like for that studio versus, because I know obviously they cut corners, because you mentioned it before, like digital nowadays, a kid can go out or anybody can go out and use a cell phone or buy a digital camera. But back then it was like, we only have so much a feet of film that we could afford for this project. And I know Canon was 90 minutes or under. That was like their rule of thumb.
Well, I didn't I don't even know that I was unaware they ever had a studio.
They
didn't.
They
just stamped their name on the the film and said, "It's a Canon film, damn it. We have money in it." But yeah, that was a film. That was I don't remember doing anything outside the state of Louisiana or Mississippi in the dead of summer. We were talking about the humidity earlier. Some of it was shot on a Mississippi game refuge that bordered Louisiana. There was no, oh yeah, you got to go down to Bourbon Street and get a blah 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 and have a blah blah blah. There was none of that. After I had done all this extensive research and called everybody I knew in the world that had ever been to New Orleans, and then the only thing of New Orleans, only time I saw New Orleans was from a speeding van. The rest of it was just pure hell. Horseflies that can bite you through a shooter's vest and a t-shirt and still pierce your skin.
Yeah.
It was, it was just like, well, what next? Snakes, gators. Get me out of here.
Yeah. And I always try to watch a bunch of different films that people work on. And I always try to pick one that's like, one that I've never heard of. And I watched a little bit of one last night that, how they always say like some movies get like the same plot gets regurgitated every decade or so. They'll try to make the same thing. I don't think anybody's ever going to remake Easy Wheels.
Oh, I don't either.
The plot of Easy Wheels is the craziest thing I've ever read. That's why I had to watch it last night. As I read the plot to it and I'm like, oh my God, a girl biker gang kidnapping babies?
Yeah, that was maybe the strangest plot line of any film that I did. But the people involved, you would have thought.
Oh yeah, Barry Livingston, which must have been cool. I'm sure you grew up watching My Three Sons, and it seemed,
It just. I don't think it ever had enough money behind it, but it was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. Some of the people that worked behind the scenes or whatever would just keep me in stitches. They weren't even on camera. So we were out in the middle of the Mojave Desert, the high desert, and they found an old test track that one of the major automobile companies had out there, and they thought, well, this is where the battle's going to be, the final battle. It had tall hills and valleys, and it was all just dirt and desert or whatever. And they decided they were going to have a gigantic explosion. And I don't know about this special effects team, but I don't know about, but now and then you run into a special effects team, and there's one guy with a hook and another guy with an iPad. And they brought in a 55-gallon drum of high test and floated a bag of black powder on top of it. And yeah, and we rode our bikes out, and we got up on top of this hill. They're going, no, you don't understand. You need to go on top of the big hill. The big hill. Okay, we're not going to be able to see anything, because the can of gas or whatever, the barrel was like that big in your field of vision. But when they lit that son of a bitch off, I mean, it just went. It's like, radiation poisoning. And it made this gigantic smoke ring that floated toward Lancaster and Palmdale. It was just a perfect giant smoke ring. And it just went on forever until it finally dissipated. Just weird stuff that happened on that film.
You knew how to ride prior to it? Like, did you ride a motorcycle, or did they train you?
No, I bought a motorcycle. The only motorcycle I bought outside of, just riding friends' motorcycles down the block and back, and mini bikes and stuff like that. I bought a bike for the desert. I had moved out into the Mojave Desert, and I took it to a bike shop and dealership in Rosamond, California. And I kept calling to find out about it. And finally I went, damn it, I'm going to go down there and see what happened. And it was gone. Everything was gone.
Oh.
Everything was gone.
Oh my God.
And so that was my biker career outside that film. But yeah, these bikes were just like messed up. They were, but amazingly, they weren't broken down, and we didn't kill each other riding them.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know how many legitimate riders there were, but somehow we survived.
You did.
But you know what? That's a real sleeper. But that could be something with alcohol and herb or whatever at a party. That could just be one funny little picture to view and go, my God, what did we just watch?
Yeah, no, I know. I love that. I watched half of it, and the best was Barry as the reporter, and he's taking the notes when they're asking the man after his house looked like it got blown up by the girls, and they took the kid, and he's like getting the woman's statement, and the woman stops, and she starts it's like she's catatonic. She keeps repeating like gut, and she's trying to say it was girls that were the bikers, but he's writing down gut, yeah. And then the lady stops talking. But yeah, interesting, man. It's those movies are fun. Like you said, you watch the movie, have a couple beers, and you're just watching, like, out of nowhere, Paul LeBart, the main character, has like a god power because he's able to lift the out of nowhere, and music plays like, oh
yeah. You got a piece of shrapnel in his brain from Nam that gave him his powers somehow.
Yeah,
but
some positive spin to Nam that the writer wanted to get across. See, Nam wasn't that bad. He got superpowers from it.
Yeah, sure. Nice guy, by the way.
Yeah,
really nice guy.
Yeah,
just a genuinely honest, truthful gentleman. He was a good role model for me. Just just being with him.
That's good. No, it's good when you're on set and you have the person that's like top billed, or when they're following and being like one of the guys, or one of the castmates, and not like isolating themselves. I'm sure that makes it a more enjoyable filming process.
Yeah, and every actor's different, and they have different needs,
yeah,
or whether they are imagined or real. And some of them might come off like, well, he has to have this kind of water. Well, when you get up in the A films or whatever, these people are racehorses. It's like, nah, just give them some straw. No, you don't understand. It's special alfalfa hay for the racehorse. get him his water, damn it, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, it's not much to ask as long as you say please.
Yes. No, you got to do that. So another movie that I'm sure while you're filming it or when you land the role, you don't know what it's going to become, is Leprechaun.
Oh, well, I knew Mark, and I had done an episode of Superboy, and
okay.
And so I knew him from that, and I knew his writing from that somewhat, and I liked him, and I liked the idea. So when he cast it, he you know, kept his word, and all of a sudden, hey, you know, you need to go in and read for this movie. Oh yeah, cool, yeah. It was one of my favorite films to do, just because of the camaraderie, the cast. We were like a little family or whatever. You know, work was always caught in the makeup chair, so spent most of his time in the makeup chair. You know, like in makeup hell, and then the rest of us were pretty much together the rest of the time. And so we would pull these 12 and 18-hour days, you know, to where you're just getting giddy. But just the laughter that went on in between takes was so much fun. And Jennifer, I'm going, my God, this kid, she looks like she's 14, and this stuff is coming out of her mouth where it's just, you know, brilliant comedy. Never complains, not too many hours, never. You know, never shows weakness. She's always on the money. And I thought, you know what, I said, Jennifer, I don't know what's going to happen with you. This is your first film. I said, something big's going to happen. Something like, I don't know, Saturday Night Live. And of course, what came to be was much bigger and better.
Yeah.
And you know, and beyond, I'm sure what I imagined or what she imagined at the time. And she's still going.
Yeah. She's even bigger. Like, you know, she, even during the times on Friends, she was like doing movies here and there, but now she's huge. Yeah. Still doing it.
Yeah.
Where was that? Was that filmed in California, or was it on location somewhere in the States?
It was filmed, at in the same location as in the Simi Valley, where they filmed the Michael Landon family.
Oh, it was out there, really?
Yeah.
The Little House on the Prairie. It was out in that studio.
Yeah,
That's what you guys used.
It wasn't at that studio. The interiors of the studio, I can't tell you where those were. There weren't that many of them, I don't think.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we did was in the house. And as I remember it, there was a basement in the house. So we got a lot done in that little area. You know, shooting night and day. And so it was an experience, and they're all different, so.
No, I was going to say, and then like, again, like when you're filming a movie, you're having fun, the camaraderie, you guys having a lot, you know, but then you never know what's going to be the end product. And you never know it's going to be like this huge horror franchise that's going to have, I don't know, 6 or 7 sequels. And then they had the direct sequel in, you know, 2018, which it's just so crazy when you work on a movie. You never know how people are going to perceive it, because it's not like when you're doing dinner theater, you see the reaction after a line or after a scene. But with a movie, you never know until it's actually out there.
Right. Well, it still blows my mind. You know, they did the first one and they decided to break the formula and do Leprechaun in space and the hood here and there. Leprechaun around the corner, Leprechaun at the table, whatever those things were. And I tried watching some of them, and some of them had some funny parts or whatever. But I don't think I've ever seen part 2 through part 7 all the way through.
Yeah.
And when I did part 8, which is titled Leprechaun Returns, I played the same characters, a continuation of the same storyline 25, 30 years later. So that one we filmed in South Africa near Cape Town. So that was a trip, you know.
And literally. And no, but it's like I talked to Lyndon, and he was telling me how like there's exact replica of the house, and then how cool it was when they blew it up. But it was cool that they did a direct sequel, and it was like a neat story. Even hearing Jennifer, spoiler alert, like hearing a Jennifer's sort of voice in the movie, that it was her daughter in it. I thought it was a really neat movie. And again, for a character, I put it up in the realm of like Freddy Krueger. It's really hard to play a horror slasher that speaks, and Lyndon knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah. And he had really no credits whatsoever. I mean, very little. So he stepped into that role, and here's this guy that I don't know how many sets he had been on, but now he is playing the title role, undergoing tons of makeup every day, tons of touch-ups on the makeup all through the day, and he was just he just rose to the occasion and knocked it out. I can't think of anybody better to besides going back to Warwick, but Warwick had enough of that, you know. He went through 7 movies of hell with the makeup. So it's like I don't blame him a bit, man, having to sit in that makeup chair, and when he started, it was like using spirit gum, which is toxic as hell. So after 7, I'm sure he just said, "That's it. I got some money in the bank. I don't have to do anymore. You guys go right on without me and have fun."
Yeah. Yeah, Lyndon said how crazy it was because within a year before he landed that role, he played he had a one quick scene of playing a body double in one of the Chucky sequels. I think it was like Cult of Chucky or something. So he was like, "It's so crazy. I'm playing this part that I don't even know when I watch the movie which part's me, because I filmed so many different ones, and then I'm playing the leprechaun."
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a life experience. I had never had the luxury of traveling to anywhere on the continent of Africa, much less Cape Town, and that was just like, you're gonna shoot this where in Africa, South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa. So I get on my computer and I'm Googling Cape Town, South Africa, and the first thing that popped up, it was like 8 years old, but I didn't realize it when I looked at it. It said Cape Town, murder capital of South Africa. Well, I don't know about this, Yeah, and I started asking questions about the security. And I went back and found the article, and I was, oh my God, well, that's years old, whatever. No, don't worry about it. We have all these actors, and they're naming off all these big, black actors or whatever. They've been here, and they've never had any trouble with our security team, blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, but there's one thing that I have that they didn't. I look like a fat farmer boar, and one of the political parties, of the top 3 political parties, their little song was "Kill the Boar." So,
oh my God!
I went, no problem. They're probably just kidding. But yeah, it was trippy. I had a little, I kept being reassured that everything was cool, and everything was cool. And it was just a different, experience. And people, God, I wonder what ostrich tastes like. I wonder what wildebeest tastes like. You know what? I'd like to eat a zebra. Don't know why. Just always have wanted to eat a zebra. Shit like that. And then you get there and you're going, it tastes like beef.
Yeah.
Next wild animal. It tastes like beef too. Ostrich, kind of tastes like beef. So, and I don't know why that is. I mean, nothing tasted exotic, wild, But it was kind of neat that, oh yeah, I've had ostrich. Pretty good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're at a zoo and like with little kids around, be like, hey, did you ever eat one of those? I did.
Aren't those beautiful ostriches? They're delicious.
They're delicious. Mark, you have so many credits on here. Obviously, we're not going to cover all of them, but one I think is like, it's like when my wife's a teacher and she teaches kids and she teaches me when I was going back to school. Like the best thing when you're doing multiple choice, like one of these things is not like the other. And that's usually the answer. So like Gacy, was that a role that you sought out to play, or because that's obviously very different than a lot of the characters you played in your career?
No, I had no idea they were doing the movie. I was just called into casting like the rest of the,
Wow.
And now I had worked for the casting director. I had been cast by the casting director, but I had no idea who any of the rest of the satellite people were, including the director. And then, I thought, you know what, I probably ought to do this. At the time I weighed a third more than I do now. I'm a character actor. What are the chances that I will ever have a title role, a lead role in a film? And the film wasn't bad, and I was familiar with the story. So, I did it, and I just, I have always had, I've always hoped that people don't look at it as a not a documentary, but a how-to manual, because there's some really nutty people out there, and now and then I'll run into one of them, and it's kind of uncomfortable when that happens. So
yeah. Is it hard? Was it hard to play a character like that, to like when you're doing your research and like reading the script because you're playing something that happened?
Yeah. Well, it's something that was part. Obviously, I'm old enough to where that was part of the evening news. It's part of the local news.
Yeah.
It was part of national news. It was part of the newspapers. It was part of a magazine print like Time and Newsweek or whatever. So you were constantly, oh my God, they found another body. Now they found another body. And you're going, oh, wow, this guy, my God, how many is that now? So as the story's playing out in real time, I was, keeping up with it. So, by the time they zapped the old son of a bitch, I pretty much had a good idea who he was. And I didn't have the luxury of okay, I want to stand here where he was born. It just whatever.
Yeah, some of those method when it comes to playing roles like that. Like I talked to an actress, this isn't about like a method she did, but she was like in a Casey Anthony movie. She played Casey Anthony, and she was like, it was hard enough to do that, but then the baby they cast looked just like the baby, and she was like, that like messed me up on set. So it's got to be hard playing something that's real.
Yeah, you got to. You're pretty much immersed into darkness. From the moment you get up and start looking over your lines, having that first cup of coffee until you're tucking your little boys in bed at night, and on the way home you just want to scrub your mind out with a toilet brush before you get home. Is the only way I can describe it. But it was there were days that were okay. Here we go. Take a deep breath. And there was a lot of anxiety too, because the director and I had some differences or whatever. It's all, let's not go there. It's all water under the bridge.
Yeah.
But that made it more difficult. And but you know what the saddest thing about that is, Doug? Is
what?
Is that somehow that film got tied up in the legal system in 2009. You know when I
Really?
You know when I got my last residual check from Gacy?
Oh no,
2009.
2009. Really? What's
Yeah.
it tied up with? Like the studio or
Oh,
something?
well,
Or
yeah, you go through a Screen Actors Guild. They're going, well, it's in a battle or whatever. It's going to court. Well, when? What's it over? Well, this is a second action. Okay, so I'm being represented by the Screen Actors Guild attorneys that are, fighting it out, or they're just waiting back, and it's between the attorneys that where the ownership or whatever the difference of opinion is. So it's just like, well, we don't know. We can't tell you that. You can't tell me that, or you're not telling me that.
yeah.
So, but it's believable. All they can do is tell me what they can tell me, and
Yeah.
and it's one of those things to where, do I wish that hadn't happened? Sure, but if it shows up, it shows up. But it hadn't really put a dent in my life. I don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
I've got all these horrible first world problems to deal with. Besides that, like what's for dinner.
That's a good outlook on life. Yeah, that's a good outlook on life. This has been so much fun. At the end, I always like to ask these 3 questions. I know it's so hard to like pick one, but do you have like a favorite role that you got to play over the years? Like if there was now there is Aliens. We sort of know that, I guess, right? But like if there's like in the ethos, if it was like Mark Holton's one role that you could have like stamped next to your name, like when people go in the Baseball Hall of Fame, some guys pick like one cap from all the teams they were on. Is there a role of yours that you would want like best represents like your work that you enjoy doing?
Well, I almost always say A League of Their Own, just because of the experience and what happened, and the fact that it was outside comedy. But the reality, whether I like it or not, the film I will be remembered for is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
And everything else is a satellite pick around that film, as far as I go. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned League of Their Own, that line wasn't in the script?
See again?
You were just saying it's out. No, you said A League of Their Own. You're known for a line outside of the copy. So is there an ad-libbed line in the movie?
No, I'm known.
Oh, okay.
I'm known for comedy, not.
Okay, gotcha.
But not legitimate, a real person, so to speak, like my character in that, or like Gacy. It's very broad comedic characters like Francis Buxton.
Yeah.
Or Chubby.
Yeah.
Or Ozzy. So it was just a nice time, and it just that film, League of Their Own, was just holds so many memories. Just to have the approval, just to have a credit from that director, Penny Marshall. That's that's very satisfying to me. I'm proud.
Yeah,
I'm not proud of my
phenomenal cast.
I'm not proud of a lot of my work, but I'm proud of that. So
that's good. And another question I love asking people. So when you were on sets over the years, did you ever keep any mementos? Did you keep any like costumes or scripts or?
Oh,
what do you got?
Yeah, everybody that's a collector is going, what's gonna be? It's a secret. No, I didn't keep that much stuff. I have a few things. I have some scripts. I have a few items. It just hit me the other day. In 2 different photographs I was looking at, getting ready to order some photographs, stills from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then from League of the or Naked Gun, and in both films I had on a ring, a ruby ring that I still have, and I thought, well, you know what, that ring has been in, you know, it's prominent, you know, in the shot when in the still where you'll be sorry, Pee Wee Herman. I don't know if it's on that hand, but it's definitely part of Francis Buxton's uniform.
Yeah.
But so I'm sure there's things like that. I also, my son had never seen the episode that I did of Seinfeld. And
oh, nice. I watched that last night with my wife. I love that episode.
Yeah, I was wearing a nice leather overcoat. And my son goes, Dad, that's your real coat, isn't it? And I went, yeah, whatever. So that's something else to, you know, throw it on eBay. When I'm dead, throw that son of a bitch on eBay.
Yeah. This is the coat he wore when he ordered the chocolate, when he got the chocolate babka. Yeah. He didn't have to settle for the cinnamon babka. Yeah.
I'll let the eBay traffic take care of itself.
Yeah. No, it's so weird when you're in a movie, like you never know. It's like that old saying that you never know, like the last time. And sometimes you get emotional. I think about this. You never know the last time you're going to like play hide and go seek or manhunt, as we call it in New Jersey, with your friends. Like you never know the last time you're going to do that pickup baseball game in the field. Because you never know. You grow old. You never know in the moment what will be the last. Even like on a movie set, I couldn't imagine. There's so much you're thinking about. Remember your lines. You're not thinking like, hey, should I keep that, that Beavers jersey, or should I keep, my boxing gloves from Teen Wolf 2? You just never know, what to do when it comes to keeping mementos, I bet, or even scripts. Like, how many scripts can you keep?
Well, my mind was more toward, I knew that a lot of the films that I did back then, the wardrobe department would get free shoes from Nike, Adidas. I didn't have to buy shoes for years. So
nice.
Yeah. I think from Teen Wolf 2, I got a pair of Cazal sunglasses, which were the sunglasses at the time. And I'm going, oh God, sunglasses with me last about 30 minutes. And I wore them into a bar, and the bartender had on a pair of Cazals, but they were prescription. And she goes, we have the same glasses. And I said, well, really? I had them off laying on the bar. I said, those would look really good with the prescription lenses in it. She goes, can I try those on? I said, yeah. And she tried them on, and I bartered it into oysters on the half shell and gin and tonics. For like 2 or 3 trips here. It's like, I didn't realize how expensive they were, but she's going, I tell you what I'll do. And I went, let's do it. Bring the raw oysters and mix my drink. Yeah. Congratulations on your glasses. So,
yeah, congratulations.
I mean, and they were
that's
far
awesome.
far more valuable at that bar at that date and time than they would be now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's cool. And then, so I always ask, obviously this is something that you always wanted to do, but was there any other careers you thought of before you got into acting, like teacher? I know usually at a young age it's something you want to do, but was there any other careers you had in mind?
I think I would have liked to have the luxury of trading stocks, to where I had some, more knowledge or whatever, because when you start doing it, it's just like anything else. You can't just hop on a bicycle. You're going to fall over a few times. And
yeah.
And so the education that I got was by doing. And you get to the point to where, this is paying for itself. But, I've got too much ahead of me and too many obligations to keep putting it on the line and risking it. So I stopped doing that. I enjoyed doing it. Not that much or whatever, but I think the other thing I would have liked to have done is to go to gunsmithing school and specialize in
Really?
1911 A1. Yeah, I
Wow.
I don't hunt and kill animals, but you know, to me, it's just like you know, putting a ball through a hoop or hitting a glove.
Yeah.
It's just or throwing a javelin. They're all related, or martial arts. You know, pistol craft is by definition a martial arts. So you have so many things there that are, you know, coming together, like physics and metallurgy and history. It just I have a condition or whatever that stopped me from going ahead with you know, doing that little by little or whatever. But
Yeah.
but that's the only other two things I can think of. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, no, this has been so much fun. You could tell me, you could say, Doug, take a walk off a short pier. But like the one thing I've always wanted to ask somebody that especially worked with Team Wolf, I don't know if I asked Troy because I don't think Troy would have been. Oh, I guess he would have been on set for that final scene. But that whole ending scene where it looks like somebody has their pants off. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't.
Is there any truth to that or anything with that?
I had never heard that until recently, and I looked at it and I went, you know, I don't. I don't buy that it was intentional.
I don't know. One thing was that it was obviously a guy doing that, but then another thing I read somewhere was that it was actually a girl, and I'm like, I have no idea because you can only see the. Like from like sort of like the midsection down of the shot.
It's just somebody, you know. I've had pants where, you know, you sit down and the zipper goes down by themselves. You go, oh
yeah,
you know.
Oh, I've had that happen. Yeah,
and also you feed an extra lunch, a really good big lunch, and the guy might have just like, God, man, I am stuffed. You know, unzipped his pants and. Forgot about it, and then okay, everybody. On this take, we're gonna hop up and down and cheer. All right, you guys ready? You know, it could have been that, but I don't know. It's just silly. Stop asking about that. I will stop talking about it, but only if you stop asking about it.
I won't. I will stop asking about it. No, that's happened to me. My wife's like, "Hey, Doug, come on. what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh man," but Mark, this has been awesome. It's so cool. And then everybody, you know, you're going to be in Parsippany, New Jersey, and it's at the world's greatest oldies party. And it's August 31st to September 3rd. Are you going to be there all the days?
I'm going to be there Friday and Saturday. I'm coming in to scope things out on Thursday. And then I will be, I'm walking into an unknown or whatever. I assume there will be a table. Supposedly there's going to be a screening of a film. I may or may
one
not
of your
have
films, really?
Access to a Pee-wee bike replica for photo ops. That's still in the works. But the whole reason they have never in the 40 years that they've done this had they have gradually tried to move in a family-oriented, family-friendly direction, because everybody that loves muscle cars or automobiles or whatever, they have families, you know, with children.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure that the spouse and the children have a good time. So they're going to have theaters inside and outside for like a drive-in night. One of the things I've heard mentioned, and then just, you know, the cars. I just look at the past winners on that site and I'm going, I mean, how could you even touch something like that, much less get in and, you know, how would you feel when the first bug hit the windshield? Oh! No, come by and see me. I'll fix you up.
No, I will.
All
totally,
right.
Man. Yeah, I'll bring the kids. My daughter loves she loves going to things like that. So yeah, I'm happy we finally connected, Mark. This is pretty special. So I'm happy I was able to talk to you. And yeah, keep in touch. And then I'll see you the end of the month, early September.
In just a few days.
In just a few days. Thanks, Mark. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.
Thank you, Doug. I enjoyed it, buddy.
Man, wasn't Mark great? Really, going into it, I knew it'd be awesome, and that exceeded it. Man, the story about, Michael J. Fox, or as he calls him, Mike Fox, would sit outside that Pioneer Chicken. He didn't have an answer machine just to be able to talk to his agent. And, man, so cool. And just him taking the role of Gacy, I thought that was really interesting, too. Something so outside of his wheelhouse. Like he even says, he was a character actor, he played in comedy movies. For him to do that, he said, when am I going to get my chance to, be the star of a movie? And I still remember as a kid seeing that in the video store, that VHS cover, and just thinking like, what happened to Francis? What's going on, Chubby? And then that's all I would remember. And that was a lot of fun. So don't forget, Let East. It is the greatest oldies party. It'll be at the Hilton in Parsippany, New Jersey. And that is going to be Labor Day weekend. So that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mark will be there. And then on that Saturday and Sunday, according to the website, which is ledeast.com, you'll be able to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure on a big screen. And Mark will be here to sign autographs. Such a great guy. I can't wait to meet him, shake his hand. And so don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night, guys.